The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast. It is DJ, joined, as always, by my co-host, Kelsey. And Kelsey, we got ourselves a fun one here today, as we're going to talk about people with a whole lot of money, and we're going to actually put them in order.
Yeah, I'm not envious of any one of these people. Let me just go ahead and tell you. Not anybody who bought a team for $100 or $500, or even the ones that bought it for $25,000 or could afford the $300 million price tags, let alone $3 billion price tags.
There's definitely some price tags on these ones. And in case you haven't figured out, we are talking about the NFL owners. We are going to put them into tiers. And here are the tiers we're looking at. We got everything from the Billy Goats all the way down to could be worse. And even, you know what, at least it's not Dan Snyder, and a little bit of everything in between. So we got a lot of categories and a lot of people to go through. And Kelsey, I want to let you lead the way. We're going to go right down the list in alphabetical order. We got Michael Bidwell of the Arizona Cardinals to start things off.
First of all, this is one of the guys I am super jealous of for how much he bought his team for. And mind you, it's not Michael Bidwell, it's his family that bought it for $50,000 back in 1932. But still, $50,000 is insane for an NFL team when you can think of the price tag that like the Washington Commanders just sold for. But anyway, so Michael Bidwell. I'm going to go with probably worse here. I think because of the stature of the Cardinals, you know what? No, let's go with could be worse. Let's move him to could be worse. Could be worse here. Just because, you know what? Because of the stature of the Cardinals, it's not necessarily his fault. However, it is his ownership's group that keeps hiring dumbass GMs to keep running the team. So, I mean, it could be worse because you could be the Browns, but at the same time, could be better.
You know, I think that's fair as well. So, like, it's not the bottom of the barrel, but at the same time, when your team stinks like they have recently, that's definitely something to look at. Speaking of teams that have kind of stunk recently, we got Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and you know what? I'm gonna actually I hold him in pretty decent regard. So we're gonna scroll up. We're gonna put him at could be worse as well too, just because we can't say still not sure.
Don't blasphemize Blake like that.
Well, we can't say we barely know him because we all know him, and we can't put still not sure because we know him a little too well.
We could sure put him at Billy Goats though, that's for sure.
We're gonna split it. We're gonna go to barely know him because at the top of that one, because I don't know if we can put him at Billy Goats yet because the results haven't quite matched up to go with it. It is a result.
Well, okay, fair enough. The results.
We factor in everything in here. It is a sports tier thing, so we got to include the sports performance. But
man, they got dollar glizzies, and that's regular price dollar glizzies. And $2 sodas. Like, come on. Like it's hard to hate the man.
That's fair. So, you know, it's hard to hate the man. We're going to put barely know him as we don't know anything bad about him. So that's how we'll do it. There's not a whole lot of negatives we know about him. So we'll stick with that one. We only know him as basically standing on the sideline at the end of it and the prices. So we'll go with him for barely know them here. But next we got Steve Bisciotti of the Baltimore Ravens. So Kelsey, where are you going to put the Ravens owner?
Oh man, he's a weird guy though, right? Like it's not just me. I'm not the only one that feels that way about Bisciotti. He feels weird. He's owned the team twice. Like he sold it and bought it back. So it's not like I can tell him to sell the team again, please. Like that just seems a little weird. I'm gonna go with could be worse. I think this is a could be worse situation. I don't think he's a great owner by any means. I don't think he's a bad owner. But I also don't think he deserves a still not sure. Like we know what he is because he's literally on the team twice. So at this point, it's not like it's a mystery of what he is. He's just not great and not bad. He's very average for an owner. Like I guess that's a good thing in a lot of ways, though.
You know what?
I know who he is. Like that's the problem. I know who he is.
You know what? That's fair. And with the Ravens being a limelight and the Lamar Jackson thing recently too, his name, of course, kind of propelled into the limelight even more as they were going through that. So next we're going up to Buffalo with Terry and Kim Pegula. And for this one, I'm going to go with still not sure because I don't know much about him. We don't really hear his name. There hasn't been a whole lot of disputes, not a lot of contract things. So it's really good. He hasn't done anything that stands out like, oh yeah, Billy Goat, or like Arthur Blanco. It's like, we only know the good things. What kind of skeletons are back there? He has a good job of hiding him. So I'm going to put him there at the still not 100% sure, but I have no reason to dislike him at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think he's close though because he's reaching that 10. They're reaching that 10-year mark. The Pagulas are. So I think we're going to have to make a decision on there. And honestly, my decision on him might be to rank him in these don't know him enough. Like they've been good, but that might be that next year where they go barely know him, which is fine. That's not a bad thing for an owner to buy for any means.
Honestly, if that's why it's a second tier, is because the less you know about the owner, the better it usually is too. Because normally the loud owners, which we'll probably talk about a few here later, the more you know about him, usually it's not always in the best way. But next, that's going to take us to Carolina with David Tepper, who is the new owner of the Panthers. And Kelsey, where are you going to throw Mr. Tepper at?
This is really interesting to me because he did a lot. Like, obviously, you talk about a guy who he's the first owner following the guy who brought the team to Carolina. So you take that into mind. But he also did get rid of the statues that represented the owner, but for good reasons. And so there's a lot of good David Tepper's done, but we know him. But he also bought a team for $2 billion. He also hasn't done really much wrong, and he's really helped rejuvenate that stadium in that city. And there are already talks about building a new stadium just outside of Charlotte and along the train line to help people get there. So you know what? I'm going to go with barely know him, just shy of Billy Goats, because I do think he's done a great job since taking over. But at the same time, he's not been like questionable like the Pagulas, who we just don't really know yet what they're doing, what their plan is. And there's been a lot of questions about the new Bill Stadium. So but with the Panthers, we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to build for the future. And it's not like the Panthers are always a wash every year. They've tried to figure it out. It's just various reasons they've been bad. I mean, the Sam Darnold experience, though, was put aside. Like, they've done what they could to try to keep this team afloat. And there's a lot of things they had to fix behind the scenes. And I think David Tepper's done a pretty good job with that first.
I'd say it's been a good start so far as well. So next we're going to go to one of the OG ones, Virginia McCaskey of the Bears, who bought the family bought the team for $100. And that is $1 for just about for every age she is, if I'm not mistaken as well. So we're going to move her up. She's going to go pretty high up on this list. Keep scrolling. We're not going to put it. She's going to put it at the top of the barely know them, just shy of Billy Goats, just because the Bears as a team haven't done a whole lot for a very long time. But as far as owners go, she's done a good job. No, most people don't even know she isn't. Couldn't pick her out of a crowd, really, unless they are diehard Chicago fans. So she gets a really, really high ranking. We're going to put her at the top of barely know them because we don't know them, and she has been around for a minute and a whole lot of them. So I think she's as good as it gets as an owner without bringing home a lot of hardware.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet for Virginia. And at the same time, if you asked anybody who's not a diehard Bears fan who the owner of the Bears are, they probably have no idea. So I think that's a safe bet to say Virginia McCaskey there. And obviously Bears fans do know who she is because they have a love-hate relationship with her. She's Grandma Virginia or Grandma McCaskey, depending on the Bears fan. But at the same time, they're like, get us a winning team. That's how Bears fans are. So I think it's a love-hate relationship up there. But I think overall, not a bad owner by any means. There's much worse owners out there.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to Cincinnati with Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, buying the team for about $200 million. And you know what? The recently named Paycor Stadium, for reasons that might be related to a guy who wears number 9 right now. Who knows? But Kelsey, where are you going to put Mike Brown on this list?
Worse. He goes in the worst category.
Easily.
I am not hesitating at all. Like, there are worse out there, but there are very few that are worse out there. This guy makes the wives of players who are pregnant or who had just had a child they have zero services for themselves. There is no place for a female to go breastfeed her child who is a part of the team, technically. Like, they are the wife of a player. They have talked about having to breastfeed children on the bathroom floor. Chad Johnson talked about how he literally slept in the locker room when he was there. And things haven't changed. Like, let's be honest. Things haven't changed there for Cincinnati. It's still one of the worst ranked places to play in the league. They released that study this last offseason that they were 31 out of 32 stadiums. And yet they still had to pay vitamins for their players, which all comes down to the owner at the end of the day. So I'm going to go worse here with Mike Brown. But you know what? I'll say this about Mike Brown. It's starting to look good for you because Joe Burrow and squad. But maybe figure out the whole take care of your players and their families first.
You know what? All right, interesting. So you know what? I'm actually, if you're going to put him we're going to go now to the other Ohio team where you got Jimmy Haslam, and you're going to put Mike Brown in worse. I feel like there's no better place to put him to. Please sell the team. Jimmy Haslam, so since they've been there, there's the Flying J kind of scandal thing pretty much right out of the gate in 2018. Then you also had the issue with the Deshaun Watson thing, however you fall on that. Plus his comments on it made it even worse too, where he basically kind of ignores, like, he's a great quarterback. Okay, that's not the question we asked you whatsoever, sir. or he's going to be a great quarterback. And you know what? There's a long list of Jimmy Haslam. We're going to put him at please sell the team for now. He doesn't have Twitter that I know of, so we can't put him in that category. But he's going to go at please sell the team and making a strong case for it. At least it's not Dan Snyder.
Listen here, Cleveland Browns fans. We all pitch in $5. We can all buy the Cleveland Browns. We could become the next Green Bay and buy the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why I'm including myself in this is because of the next man up. This man needs no introduction. He is the man, the myth, the legend of owners. He is Jerry Jones. And I really didn't want to make this pick because I'm very biased against Jerry Jones. And I do mean very biased against Jerry Jones, but it is what it is. So I'm going to make the pick for him. He's going in to worse. I'm not going to put him in sell the team, please, because there's no way he sells that team. You don't just sell a brand that's worth $7.5 billion or whatever it is now. You don't do that. But please stop being a face of the owner. Like, stop talking. Stop going and inserting yourself into coaching meetings. Stop doing anything involved with the team, please. Let Steven take over. It is his time. The man's already about to die, and he hasn't even been able to take over the team yet. Like, Jerry, stop. Please, retire. It's okay. You can let this one go. Steven's not going to run into the ground. He might do a better job, arguably. He was responsible for the Kellen Moore hiring, by the way. And Jerry responsible for the rest of that. But yeah, so Jerry Jones is going in worse. Not please sell it, not sell the team, please, but it's not far away, honestly, in my opinion.
He's right on the cusp, and depending on which Cowboys fans you talk to, he's in the very bottom tier, so he can range a whole lot. So,
and unfortunately, depending on which ones you talk to, he could be in the Billy Goats as well, and that's the problem.
We don't talk about those ones. But next, that's going to take us now to the Denver Broncos. With speaking of billions, we got Rob Walton. He's got that Walmart money. That's the only way I need to describe it. I'm going to put him in still not sure because I think he did the right thing with getting out from Nat Hackett as the head coach right away, not lingering, not saying like, we're going to hold to it. So I think they made a smart move there. No players have really complained. The issue was the Russell Wilson contract and signing, but you can chalk that up to the GM as well. He's been around a year so far, so I'll give him a little bit of time. I think finding a way to bring in Sean Payton was really, really smart. I think you get the best possible coach for your really talented, but at the same time, an absolute mess of a team for after last year. So I'm going to give him a still not sure because when you got that Walmart money, anything is possible. So I won't fully rule him out.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think, if anything, if he's not and still not sure, I think you just have to put him in Billy Goats just for how much he's worth. But like, it's not because of what he's done as an owner. That's for sure.
If we're just talking money, that's different. But at the same time, when we talk about as an owner, he's got some more. He could be a Billy Goat real quickly if they flip Russell Wilson on his head and the entire team. So next, that's going to take us to your Detroit Lions with Sheila Ford Hamfett, the owner of the Lions who bought the team for, if I'm not mistaken, that is $4,500,000. Well, her family.
Yeah. So, this is a tough one, right? Because as a franchise owner of the Lions, you look at that immediately and you're like, oh, man, the Lions, So that's, you want to really talk about it. But her mom didn't take over until 2014. She took over in the 2015 decision to fire Lewin and Mayhew. And in 2019 is really when she kind of took the reins as far as the actual, decision maker. 2020 is when she became chairwoman. So given that, I'm going to actually put her up in the barely know her category because she's done a good job since taking over. Since 2020, you've absolutely turned this team around. I don't think there's any question about that. Where they're at in 2020, we just don't talk about 2020 is what it seems like is the answer there. So you have a lot of hope there if you're Detroit. You honestly probably could put her in the still not sure category because she's so recently taken over. But at the same time, I feel like this team she's been involved with the team long enough. You know what she's about. She's not trying to run this team down. She wants to see a championship in Detroit. So I think for that matter, I'm going to give her barely know him. But yeah, I think she's got positive things there in Detroit.
I would say too, because she, like you mentioned, she wasn't really the owner with the Barry Sanders and the Calvin Johnson sagas. I think it's not fair to hold those things. If we're just going with Lions as a whole, she had to carry the weight of that stuff on her back. She's much farther down this list, but she had nothing to do with those. So I think in one of those two categories is probably fair at this point. And considering her short track record, they went from second pick in the draft to one win from the playoffs pretty quickly. Barely know them should be okay for now, with a chance to climb a little higher up the barely know them list depending on how this.
Well, she is a Ford family member, by the way. Her husband is the grandson of one Ford, one particular Ford that is Henry Ford.
Next, that's going to take us to division rival Green Bay Packers, and you know what? They don't have an owner, so they get their own category. They're the dairy farmers. They're the cheeseheads. We're not going to go. We don't have too much to go into on that. There's next, moving on. We got Janice McNair with the Houston Texans. Not Bob McNair. We're going with Janice on this one. That'll be for you.
I'm gonna, man. I don't know. Honestly, this is a tough one because I mean, if you said Ed McNair, that's a different conversation here. But Janice McNair with the Texans, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I gotta go. Could be worse, just because we don't really know where we're at here with her. I don't. If you know what's going on with Janice McNair, you're doing better than me. Because honestly, with Janice McNair, I have no earthly idea. She didn't take over until 2018. Since 2018, I'll be honest and say I haven't really hated what the Texans are trying to do. They're trying to build a franchise, but they're still the Texans. Like at the end of the day, and so I'm going to say could be worse is probably the best way to go about it.
That is fair. So next, we're going to go to the man who's been in a whole lot of headlines recently. We got Jim Irsay of the Indianapolis Colts, and honestly, so much of his issues could be solved if you simply just made him get off Twitter. The things he's tweeting recently, the things he's saying in public, the issues with Jonathan Taylor, just all that. He just needs it. Just delete his Twitter or X or whatever it's being called. Now, just take it away. He's not allowed to talk in public anymore from the Carson Wentz issue. Just every time he opens his mouth, something dumb happens. So please delete Twitter, Jim Irsay. You've made way too many headlines recently. Just no more. It's enough.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. Like, we can just solidly agree on that one.
Next, we got Shahad Khan with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the somewhat newer owner on this list as well.
Yeah, but he has done a great job with these Jaguars since taking over. He's really tried to turn them around, and in multiple different ways. Obviously, he had the Blake Bortles draft as well, but he does so much with his team and with that stadium, with the city. I'm going to put him in Billy Goats. I think he's our first nominee for Billy Goat here, because he does so much for the Jacksonville city, along with the stadium, along with the team. He's trying his damnedest to make them a competitor. He's trying so hard, and it's close. It's getting there. Trevor Lawrence is looking like the prince that was promised. So, look, if he can figure it out from the managerial aspect, I think this team and this club in general could do a lot of things. They already are rebuilding their stadium. I've talked about how bad that stadium was, but they're already rebuilding and fixing the issues. So, you know what? With that considered, I'm going to put them in Billy Goats.
They've come a long way from putting bags on their heads roughly not even 2 years ago to the games and back-to-back number one picks. But we'll see how the upward trajectory goes. Next, we are going to the Hunt family we got Clark Hunt here with the Chiefs. And you know what? We're going back-to-back here because I don't think you could put him anywhere but the Billy Goats at this point. You literally got the AFC Championship trophy named after your family, and you've been in the AFC Championship game, 4 of the last 5 years now, 5 years in a row, something like that. You've won 2 Super Bowls. You've won the AFC a few times with your name on that trophy. Pretty cut and dry here, Clark Hunt. For our next nomination to the Billy Goats.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He might be the number one Billy Goat on this one for sure.
And next, we're going to the Las Vegas Raiders, led by not Al, but Mark Davis on this one, who did not have to buy the team on this one.
Yeah, you know what? I might be cold-hearted here, but I'm going to say sell the team, please. I think Mark Davis deserves to sell the team, please, because what's happening right now in Las Vegas? Can anybody tell me what their plan is? Because I can't figure it out. Your last how many draft picks, number one draft or first round draft picks have been busts. You have 1 remaining on the roster from the last 7 draft picks, if I'm not mistaken, from the first round, and that's
not good. Whatever the number is, it ain't good.
You have a questionable head coach. You have a questionable quarterback. You don't even know who your second receiver is going to be if you're trading Hunter Renfrow. You just traded an all-world tight end. You don't even have a running back signed beyond this year. I don't even need to get started on this defense. Your biggest boon is you've got a TikTok superstar in Isaac Rochelle on your defense.
Whoa, there's a Condor that wears number 98 that gets some respect now.
I know.
Everybody else does.
Max Crosby does deserve it. And I'll say Diablo as well. It deserves a little bit of love. But look, there's a lot of question marks on this team. And I don't think it's a question that even Raiders fans at this point in time are kind of hoping he would sell the team. There's got to be something better. Like because he's so involved. I feel like this is on him. Like this is just like Jerry Jones for me. This is on him, but honestly, Mark Davis is worse.
That's fair. I guess at least he's not Al Davis at this point. So he's got that.
At least Al Davis tried to win. His mantra was "win, baby, win." Like he tried to win. It just didn't
win, baby,
but
just win my way. To where I will fire a coach if he tells me Jamarcus Russell's not going to be good. And well, it turned out that they were right. But that's neither here nor there. But that's now going to take us to the Los Angeles Chargers and Dean Spanos, and we're going straight to worse with this one, simply for moving the team to Los Angeles in the first place. If you never move them out of San Diego, you might even be up here, because otherwise I wouldn't really care too much otherwise. But moving them to Los Angeles was just dumb. Still has a sour taste in my mouth. I'm not even a Chargers fan, and it's just gross. So he goes in the worst category.
Yeah, I agree with this one wholeheartedly. But I'm going to flip the script on the next one, and that's Stan Kroenke. I think I'm going up here to maybe, because we all know him, so I can't put him there, but I'm going to say could be worse. Yeah, I think that's a safe place for him. You could go all the way to Billy Goats, I really feel like, but you know him, so you can't go and barely know him. Still not sure. Well, we know what Stan Kroenke is about. He's owned the team twice, and he's brought him to LA both times, so conveniently enough. And he's done well for him. It's a tough one for Kroenke. I want to put him in Billy Goats at the tail end there behind, or maybe just in front of Khan. But at the same time, I think could be worse is where you're at, because the Rams aren't exactly in a great position, but they do have a beautiful stadium and a lot to work with. So
2 years removed from a Super Bowl. I mean, like it hasn't even been 1,000 days.
Like I'm gonna say could be worse. There's a lot of things you could hope for, I guess, if you're a Rams fan. Maybe just filling up your stadium first. Maybe getting a stadium that's closed off so you don't have any lightning delays anymore. That's maybe number one. Maybe getting a healthy quarterback and a running back that's healthy. But truthfully, this team looks good, really. And I might be talking myself into putting him in Billy Goats, honestly.
I mean, he is kind of the captain of FM.
Yeah.
Him and Snead, like.
Yeah, you got it. You go ahead. Put him up there right in front of Khan. I can't talk myself out of that one.
You didn't need much convincing there. That one is pretty easy. Didn't have to. That's everything that's fun about him. Plus, you just won a Super Bowl not long ago. You've been competitive for a while. Look at the trades you've pulled off. You're in a weird spot right now, but you're the premier team in Los Angeles as far as football goes, because people actually show up to the Rams games, not so much the Chargers games, but at least they try for the Rams, and it makes sense. You got them out of San.
He's also just won an NBA championship too, by the way.
Even better. So yeah, Billy Goats is the right spot for him, I'd say. But let's move on. Next, we're going to Miami with Stephen Ross, who him and his Tom Brady collusions and everything in between. And we're gonna put him. Ooh, this is tough. I'm gonna put him at please sell the team, especially considering the rumors that he was trying to get Brian Flores to tank and everything that came along with that. Like, he could honestly go down to, at least it's not Dan Snyder, but he doesn't have a riveting off the field like major case there or anything like that. Like, he hasn't done anything too dramatic. So I'm gonna put a please sell the team, because if it was true you try to get your coach to shave points and shave games for draft picks, and then you tried to collude with Tom Brady and everything that's rumored with that, you can't get him higher than sell the team, please. And he doesn't have a Twitter, so I can't put him there.
Yeah, I agree with this wholeheartedly. I think that's a safe place for him. And sell the team, please. I think that's just easy.
Absolutely.
I'll say that's going to take us to the Minnesota Vikings in the Great White North here with Ziggy Wolf. And honestly, this guy, I'll be honest, I don't know a darn thing about this man other than he built a really cool stadium up there, and he's kept his team really competitive throughout the year. So I'm going to go barely know him. I think barely know him is a safe space for him, because since 2008, when he took the team over, he's done nothing but help to try to build them up. Obviously, the Sam Bradford draft didn't work. The Teddy Bridgewater draft didn't work due to injuries. But at the same time, he made the right moves on paper to keep them competitive. So I got to give it to him. I mean, brought in Kirk Cousins. We all didn't believe. I didn't believe that would work, yet it's working. And at the same time, he's not been afraid to make the move. Obviously, we talk about Zimmer and maybe spent a little too much time there as a coach. But you know what? He did a good job while he was there. And Wolf, I mean, like I said, Minnesota's not a bad team by any means. And I think he's done a great job. But you don't really know him. He doesn't ever come out in the media, ever. And that's, I think, the best aspect of him is he just doesn't talk except for, hey, by the way, we're building a brand new US Bank Stadium. It's going to look like a Viking ship. Here you go. Super cool.
Absolutely. Next, that's going to take us to, well, you talked about the ones who need no introduction. We got Robert Crafter, who also needs no introduction. And this is kind of a tough one because there is some things to not like about him. The thing with the massage parlor, plus going along with him and Tom Brady having their interesting relationship as far as a player owner. But when you got all of those Super Bowls, all of that success, and a pretty strong background as far as donations and just being everyone's raves about what a quality person is, I'm going to put him in Billy Goats as well too. The results on the field, the nice things everyone says about him, he's bros with Meek Mill, which for better or for worse, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put him in Billy Goats because just the success, the billionaire, they turned the Patriots into a football town. It went from a Red Sox town and a Celtics town to a Patriots town for 2 decades, and he's the one who made the move to bring in Belichick. He's the one who overruled getting rid of Tom Brady early on. We're going to put him in Billy Goats for now.
And don't forget that it used to be a Bruins town as well in the early 90s. So, yeah, he was able to usurp all that, talk about the franchise. It is one of those things there's some things you wish you could have back. When you talk about Robert Kraft, like there's some, man, I wish I didn't have to include that when I talk about you because that's a really messed up thing you did. But we have worse owners out there. I think it's safe to say.
Much worse. And next now is going to take us down to New Orleans with Gail Benson now. So, Kelsey, where are we going to put Gail Benson?
She's trying. She's doing her darndest. The Benson family has been doing their best. They've won one Super Bowl in her time. But I think honestly, this is one where you got to put her in. Don't know anything about her, barely know him, because truthfully, Gail Benson stays out of the media. She stays out of the limelight. She does what she can for the team, and honestly, she does a great job at it. She tries to make the best moves for the team that's possible. They haven't fired their coach since since they got Sean Payton. Let's not forget that Sean Payton willingly walked away from the team. So it wasn't like Gail Benson's fault that they lost Sean Payton. And I do think this, her time especially, it's been more lately than during the heyday, but it still doesn't matter. I think you got to give him credit where credit's due. This team used to be a joke with Aaron Brooks at quarterback, and then that move with Sean Payton really turned everything around for him, and really made them the who dat Saints. And me even saying that grosses me out, but she stayed out of the limelight during the entire thing, and that's a huge boon for her. So I'm gonna give her barely know them. Biggest thing, they need to fix that stadium for not just the team but that city as well.
Absolutely as well. Now we're going to go to the New York Football Giants with John Mara, who has been around for 2 Super Bowls, but at the same time has been around for a lot of unfortunate losing seasons, as well as keeping Dave Gettleman for a little bit too long, depending on who you talk to. So when you have 2 Super Bowls, I'm going to put you at the barely know them because we don't really know anything bad about them. So we're going to stick them somewhere right in the middle, barely know them. Because you know them as the Giants owner, but that's just about it. That's pretty much all we know him for. There's no tomfoolery, nothing goofy like that. So no his billionaire endeavors have not completely overlapped what he does as a football owner that I know of as well, compared to like a Haslam with his scandals or any of the other ones. So we'll put him at the barely know him.
Yeah, that works for me. I don't have any issue with that one way or the other. By the way, their daughter, everybody knows, Kate Mara, actress. Just want to throw that out there. That they it's just something that, like, well, we don't know anything about him, about the Mara family. Like, just so happens that we know who their daughter is. So funny how that works out. But that'll take us to the other New York team here, and the New York Jets and the brothers, Chris and Woody Johnson. Chris Johnson, obviously being the former ambassador to the UK. Sorry, that was Woody, by the way. That was a former ambassador to the UK for 4 years there, which is why the Jets played in the UK so many times during his tenure there. But yeah, I think if you're the Jets, like if you're a Jets fan, I don't think there's any more quintessential Jets things than 2 brothers to own the team. I think that's the most Jets thing about it, and especially 2 brothers from New Jersey to own the team. I don't know. I'm going to put it, could be worse with these guys. Like, at the same time, you're building something new, but you had a lot of bad years. But you also had the Chad Pennington years, which weren't bad. You also had the Vinny Testaverde years early in your days, which weren't bad as well. Curtis Martin was there while you had the ownership. LaDainian Tomlinson came into town. Brett Favre came into town. So it's not been a bad ride. It's just not been great by any means. I don't think they're not like sell the team bad. I don't maybe I'll catch flack from Matt on that one, but from over there in corner booth. But you know what? I'm gonna say it could be worse.
think that's fair as well. So we won't even get into the irony part of being part of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine with Aaron Rodgers, because that's just too good. That writes itself. So I think right there that's a good spot for him. So next we're gonna go with Jeffrey Lurie and the Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what? I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, especially with how the Eagles have been doing recently. We're gonna put them up in the Billy Goats category. They've been a force since he's been there. So Jeffrey Lurie, he can take the Billy Goats for now. Never gets in the way, and you don't have a whole lot of issues with players getting paid, especially the Jalen Hurts thing. We talked about that. So Jeffrey Lurie, you got Billy Goat status.
Yeah, that's easy pickings. Opposite of Jerry Jones in a lot of ways. Very, very player friendly in a lot of ways. As much as Jerry Jones likes to portray himself that way, you always feel like he's not actually a player's guy. It's just what it is. I don't know. But yeah, so that'll make us do next on the list. The Steelers, the Rooney family. I think we got to go right back to Billy Goats here. This Rooney family has been in ownership of the Steelers since 1933. $2,500 is what they paid for it. And we talk about one of the greatest franchises of all times. And yes, it hurts me to say that, but I'll admit it. One of the greatest franchises of all times, despite everything else that goes on, it's never really their fault there's any down years. It's really just down to having to reload at different times.
Absolutely as well. So next, that's going to take us to the San Francisco 49ers with Jed York and DeBartolo. You know what? They've had some fun. But whether you go back to the Jim Harbaugh situation, everything in between, we're going to put them, it could be worse because they mishandled the heck out of that one, but they've been competitive for a decade every other year, it feels like. So we'll put them, it could be worse.
Yeah, that works for me. I don't think there's any complaint there. Which is going to take us to our next competitor here. That's Jody Allen here, Seattle Seahawks owner, which, to be honest, I had no idea who she was. I saw the picture and I was like, who? I know she's wearing a Seahawks jersey, but still, it's like, who? And that's exactly how I feel about it. So I'm going to go all the way. She's on the team since 97. So it's not like she's not been involved. I'm going to go one more than still not sure to I don't know her at all. But it's not like she's doing a bad job. She's doing a darn good job with the team. So Jody Allen, I'm going to say, is definitely not a bad owner by any means.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong there. 12th man has been revitalized. So next we're going to go to the Glazer family of Tampa Bay. I'm going to go with could be worse, honestly. I mean, you brought in Tom Brady. That worked out for a few years. That you were a part of that. What they did with the coaches and everything, good job. But you're still kind of the creamsicle Tampa Bay. Could be worse. Could be better. Nothing really much to say.
Yeah, that seems like a very, very safe option there. Which is going to take us to the Tennessee Titans, formerly the Houston Oilers, which does matter, by the way, because Amy Adams Strunk, is the daughter of late owner Bud Adams, who was the owner of the Oilers. So, yeah, Amy Strunk here. She inherited this team, and so it's one of those situations where she took over in 2015. I don't know, man. I'm going to say it could be worse. I don't think there's really any either there. You know what? It could be worse because they're not a great team. So there's a lot she could be doing to help that team out. Maybe fire Mike Vrabel and get a real head coach in there. But yeah, I mean, I know I'm biased. I think Mike Vrabel is a great defensive coach. I just don't think he's a great head coach. But I think honestly, Amy Strunk could be worse, could be better. I'm neutral about her in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. That's going to take us last but not least, the Washington Football Commander Skins, a new owner, Josh Harris. You know what? There's no better place to put him. At least it is not Dan Schneider. You paid an absolute fortune to get him, almost as much as how much rent in that area would cost. And now you got the team for yourself. We'll see what he can do with it. But the jury is still out. We'll see what goes on. So that's our list for the tiers for the NFL owners. A little bit of everything in between and a whole lot of categories for a whole lot of personalities and a whole lot of money. So let us know in the comments down below what we got right, what we got wrong, and what you think was just downright blasphemous. We appreciate you all for joining us for this Tier Tuesdays. If you like talking about owners, we'll be talking about one of them in particular on our podcast coming up this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time as well. So we appreciate you all for joining us for Tier Tuesdays, and we'll see you all again next time.